Happy Monday, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I'm so excited to be here with you today. A little earlier, I have an appointment this afternoon, but yes, I wanted to still speak with you today because I had some exciting stuff to share. So, today I want to talk about the three key components to identify errors in your financials. There are plenty of components to do this, but there are three key ones that you might be able to quickly identify some errors going on that you weren't aware of. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about those today. And hello, for anybody who is not familiar with me, I'm Audrey Faust, and I help CEOs condense the timeline to realize their vision by helping them master three things: financial management, time management, and mindset. And once you master those three things, there's no stopping you to realize your vision. So I come on here once a week and just give you some free helpful hints. And today, as I said, we're going to be talking about three key components under financial management that you can identify in your finances that will help you identify potential if there's errors. And so I want to share a little story with you. I had a friend ask me to review her books, and she didn't quite understand why she wasn't making a profit. Her revenue was about the same, and she wasn't making a profit, and she didn't understand her financials enough so she could understand that. So she asked me if I could take a look at them. So I ended up with my financial review service that I offer. I ended up identifying a few things that saved her a lot of money on her tax return. So she has an accountant and she has a bookkeeper. And you might think if you have those two people in place, there's no one else you need, right? But that's not true, because your bookkeeper oftentimes is not educated in accounting as far as a degree. And your accountant doesn't really have the time, energy to really take a deep dive into your finances and make sure everything in there is perfect. He's assuming that you're doing that, and your bookkeeper. But your bookkeeper doesn't always have the education to do that. Sometimes you're paying a bookkeeper on a flat rate, so they're trying to get as much done as possible in the amount of time, and they don't always take time to stop and ask questions. So with this story, I helped my friend Maria identify a few things in her books that saved her thousands of dollars when it came to her taxes. And she knew something was off. She was like, well, why am I not making as much money? That we looked at. But then just by doing this financial review, I was also able to find a few other things that actually saved her a lot of money on her tax return. So we did the financial review via Zoom call, and she shared her QuickBooks file with me. And I was able to take a deep dive into her finances. And I was able to identify a couple of things. First, I found, and this is one of the key components that I want you to look at, is owner's distribution account. So I went into her owner's distribution account and realized that there were things in there, and we reviewed it together, that were not personal, that her bookkeeper was just putting in there because she didn't know what else to do with them. And it turns out we found a lot of expenses in there that she could expense off. luckily, before she had done her tax return. This was earlier. This was late last year. So we were able to identify things looking at that account. She never even knew to look at that account. She didn't even know what that account was. All she knew was, things look different. So, and why was she having like no money? She had no money. She was struggling with this. So looking at the owner's distribution account, we found several $1,000s of expenses that were placed in that account that were actually business expenses. So her accountant didn't really review it, and the bookkeeper didn't know what the stuff was, so that she just assumed it was personal and threw it in that account. But if you're not reviewing it as a business owner, that could be happening to you. So one account that I love to make sure you're reviewing is the owner's distribution account, to make sure there aren't things in there that are not personal, that are actually getting put in there as personal. And that's what that account is used for. Basically, it's used for any personal transactions that kind of get mixed in with your business. I also don't like using that account except for owner draws, right? So once you start mixing business and personal, you start putting personal expenses on your business credit card, and that's where or writing checks for personal expenses, and they get thrown in that account. Then you're actually opening up your personal account for audit should your business get audited. So this is why I always advise my business owners that I work with just to do a draw and pay your personal out of your personal and your business out of your business. Sometimes that gets confused or you cross the line a little bit, but try to make it not a regular habit. So that's number one component I want you to review is your owner's distributions account in your financials, because that was one key place that we looked at that actually was able to save her quite a lot of money in her taxes. Had someone not looked at that, her taxes would have got filed as is. So now she's very aware to check that account. The other report I like you to run is called a cash flow statement. So not everything shows up on your profit and loss. And the things that don't show up on your profit and loss are going to show up on what's called your cash flow statement. And if you're using QuickBooks, just look for, in reports, just look for cash flow statement, and you'll be able to run that. Basically, that's going to show you the ins and outs of cash going in and out of your account that's not on your profit and loss. So any kind of principal payments to loans are going to show up on there. Any distributions to yourself are going to show up on there. Anything like that is going to show up on your cash flow statement. So that's number two thing I want you to look at or be aware of. And the third thing I want you to be aware of is the behavior of your accounting team. So I'm going to tell you a little story. A few years back, probably 6 or 7, I was working with a client, and a neighboring company that they were working with had someone steal from them. I believe they were probably in the 8-figure range as far as the size of that company. They had several hundred employees, or pretty big. But this accounting team member had worked for them for I think it was over 15 years. And she only started stealing from them in the last 4. She had been a model employee before then. So why I say watch their behavior, because this is what happened in this instance. This employee, right around when she started, they found that she started stealing money from the company, actually had a DUI. It was in the newspaper. Everybody knew about it. She rammed her car up over a parked car. So her car was literally on top of another car. Now, granted, everybody makes mistakes and maybe drinks a little more than they should bringing the car home. But to land on top of a parked car, and she was older. I'm going to say she's probably in her 50s. I don't know her exact age. And for you to drink enough so you scale a car is a lot to be getting behind the wheel and drinking. And this was the start of when she started stealing money from the company. If she was on my accounting team, I probably would have started looking at her stuff at this point to see what's going on, because there's obviously something going on with her. She had been a model employee up until that point. And yes, like I said, everybody makes mistakes. And I'm not saying just because you get a DUI means that there's something wrong. No. But if one of your accounting team members, this is going on, like maybe there's something going on with them internally. So for those last 4 years until they found the fraud, she was stealing $100,000 a year from the company through fake travel and entertainment reports. She was not the CFO. There was actually a CFO above her. She was an accounting manager. And so there were people above her that somehow did not see this as going on. I don't know all the details, but I know if I was the CFO, I'd be raising a little bit of an eyebrow to see, okay, what's going on with this person? Maybe I even have a conversation. There's obviously something going down. This fraud was found like 4 years later through an audit. It even took the auditors 4 years to find the fraud. And she continued every year to steal $100,000 every year from the company, totaling $400,000, which is a lot of money. So if your gut is telling you something, listen to it. Pay attention to the behavior of your accounting team. Have a fresh set of eyes. Look at your books every once in a while. It's not going to hurt. And maybe it's going to help you have peace of mind and sleep at night, knowing that everything's in line. So those are the 3 things I wanted to talk about. Just key components to keep an eye on. And if you're in QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online and you're a 7-figure business owner, what I offer what's called a financial review service. And prices start at $500, where I take a deep dive into your books and I take a look around to see if there's any suggestions or improvements I can help you with. If this is something that you're interested in, I'd love to chat more, and just reach out to me and we'll set up a call to learn more. You can learn more about this service. So this is why I tell you all these things. And these are things that just 3 things that I like to take a look at when I'm doing a deep dive into the finances. I take a look at a lot more, but I just want to share these 3. These are 3 things that you can take a look at and keep an eye on as you are looking at your books. So owner's distribution account, cash flow statement, and just keep an eye on the behavior of your accounting team, your internal accounting team. Make sure nothing's funny. The other thing that if you have somebody that never wants to go on vacation, that's another key component, and they're on your finance team. So they say that's another thing to look at. So have a great week and reach out to me if you want to get on a call, find out more about my financial review service. And I hope you have an awesome day. And I'll talk to you soon.